Today in the Diz List, we count down the top 5 things Disney is doing wrong in 2026.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that lists everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob. And if you were watching us on video, you may think you were watching a hockey podcast, but no, in fact, this is the Diz List. So thank you for tuning in. Nick and I have our 2 favorite hockey teams are playing each other today in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I swear this won't be a long conversation about sports. If you're a regular listener, you know, sometimes we bring it up. It's just part of who we are. So we bring it into the show a little bit. I am currently wearing my Buffalo Sabres jersey, and Nick, you are?
I'm wearing my Bruins jersey. What I would say is this. Mine has the fight strap. Does yours have a fight strap?
It does.
Okay, good. Because I'm going to pull it over the top of your head.
Now, I like Boston for basketball, and I respect the Bruins. I think it's a great organization, and I like Boston sports sort of in general. So I think this is kind of a fun rivalry. And I know you're kind of the same way because you're a Buffalo Bills fan. So we like both the cities. So that game we're taping this Sunday, and the game is on Sunday at 2:00. So by the time you hear this, the game will be over, but there'll be another game in the series. Anyway, that's it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, it's gonna be a tough day because I've got to finish recording. I've got to mow the lawn.
Well, I do too.
And I've got to watch the game. So
and then
try to get that lawnmower going and about as fast as I can get it going to get this.
Well, your
done.
son's a fan, so at 7:00 tonight, you might want to put on the Celtics game for your son. I know he's a basketball guy.
I think I'm not sure what time the Red Sox play today because he'll be watching that. But
well, can you do the dual screen thing?
I mean, you probably could, but he would prefer to. I mean, not that he doesn't like basketball, but like he would prefer to watch the baseball game. I think
that's his team. That's cool.
So,
all right, ready for some Disney stuff?
Sure.
The fans are like, yes, please.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we have some sports fan. Let us know. Let us know if you're
if they were the Mighty Ducks, right? If they were the Mighty Ducks, that's Disney.
That's true. That's Anaheim.
If we're Angels fans. So anyway,
I was very excited with a post that I saw online this week, and it was the Wall-E. I don't know if we call him an animatronic. He's not really. He's essentially a robot, right? He came to Hollywood Studios I wrote this down because I'm sure you're familiar with this because it's part of DVC. It's a DVC Club exclusive Moonlight Magic event. Are you familiar with these? I'm not really.
Yes, I'm familiar with them.
So is it just like a special after hours thing for only people that are DVC members? And
correct.
What do you get to do?
There's special meet and greets, food, like you get like tickets for food. I think it's 4 or 5 like food tickets you get that you can use at like different stands throughout the night. Essentially, dues don't go to pay for this. So because it's not the dues, Disney can choose who can go and who can't go.
Okay.
And so it is 100% blue card, as they call them. So it's the direct owners who can go to this. And you have to kind of your trip has to line up with it pretty much because you're not going to make a special trip just because of Moonlight Magic. Some people maybe do if they're close enough, but like I wouldn't be able to or anything like that. And then to get tickets to get in is like extremely difficult. On top of that, it's kind of like Run Disney, how it's like a lottery system. You might not even get to go in. So
okay, yeah, that's something that I'm not super familiar with, but I figured you would as a DVC owner. Anybody who's interested in DVC, we mention this from time to time. There's a great free episode that we have over on our Patreon. You don't have to sign up to pay to be a member. It's for free, and it's an episode with our good friend Craig from Ear Scouts and Nick, and they kind of they answer questions about DVC.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else I forgot about that?
No. Like I said, like Rob said, just head on over. You just have to join as a member, but you can join as a free member.
Yeah, and we obviously you get bonus content and extra episodes if you are a paid patron, but we do have some free stuff for anybody. So we encourage any listener to hop over there. It doesn't cost anything, and we have some content for free as well. So next topic, we have Lakeshore Lodge is opening summer 2027. Are you interested?
Interested, yes. I would potentially be convinced to purchase points if the deals were right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they will be. And if the dues were right, I don't think those
Okay.
will be. I suspect that when it goes on sale, I think it's going to probably start taking reservations around the new year. And I think it'll go on sale around the same time for DVC. My suspicion is that it's going to be wrapped up in that same trust that the cabins at Fort Wilderness are. And those dues are outrageous.
Okay.
So,
well,
I don't
one
see myself
positive
doing it.
about this place is you and I had this conversation at work where we were trying to figure out the location. And because in my mind, it wasn't exactly where I thought it was placed,
And
but I
it's right on
really,
river country.
I love the location.
Yeah.
Once I saw on the map, you showed me on the map where it was. It's like such a awesome location. So
It is.
I am excited. I can. This sounds so ridiculous, but I can't remember if I went to River Country, and there's pictures of me there, but I don't remember going.
Yeah.
I was so young, but I would like to go just to go back to that area and see if I jog my memory at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be. I think that a night stay there is going to be. I mean, up there with Poly, maybe not quite Grand Floridian, but it's going to be up there.
Okay.
And that's where like it'll have to be rented DVC points if I stay there, because my points won't be any good because it's a new DVC and they have restrictions on all that stuff.
I remember you saying Riviera was like that too at first. Is that right?
It still is, yeah. Riviera is like that. Anything that's built, so Riviera was the first, but anything that's built from Riviera on is restricted. Basically, it means that non-direct owners cannot use their points there unless they're grandfathered. So like that's a whole other thing. You could have non-direct, indirect points, so resale points that were grandfathered as direct points. I don't, right? I bought about a year and a half after they stopped allowing resale points get direct benefits.
Okay. Any more questions on that? Just shoot us a message, or again, check out that episode I talked about before. So this one we may get some messages on this one. Okay. So this week in Disneyland, they sort of I'll say they made a big deal. I'm doing this in air quotes. They made a big deal about the Galaxy's Edge walk around characters, which are Han and Leia and Luke. Do I let you talk first, or should I make everybody mad with what I have to say?
You can just go.
So here's my 2 cents. You may agree, you may not agree. I have a hard take on this one. Also, I want to begin with saying I have a lot of respect for cast members. Nothing negative against the cast members who are playing these people. With that said, personally, I do not like that you have a person who is cast in a movie. We'll use Harrison Ford, okay? Harrison Ford is what my brain goes to as Han Solo. They have this big reveal of the cast member coming out as Han Solo. It just, to me, looks like the photo on a Spirit Halloween costume bag. It's not Han Solo to me. And maybe it is to little kids. You know, I'm a middle-aged man. So to me, that's not my hero from when I was little. I just kind of go, that's not cool. Here's what I like. So this is not going to be all negative. The positive is this. I love Chewbacca. I love Mandalorian. I love Kylo Ren, the Stormtroopers. What do they all have in common? It's not a human face. They're not recasting somebody else. The other argument comes up, whereas let's use Princess Aurora, okay? We're familiar with what she looks like as the animated version. When there's a Disney princess that comes out as Aurora, to everybody, that's Princess Aurora, because there isn't that. We're not comparing it to Harrison Ford on the screen. I mean, Aurora obviously isn't Harrison Ford, but you know what I mean. So that was a long rant. You knew that was coming because you know my opinion on this. So I will give you a minute to talk. Go ahead. Feel free to rebuttal.
I don't know that I have necessarily have a rebuttal. I would say, I would counter with the question, how do you feel about Jack Sparrow? How do you
could take it or leave it? but they're very close. Like Han, Leia, and Luke are not close.
But that's only because you have such an emotional attachment.
You might be right.
Like,
you might be right. Yeah.
Like,
because those characters mean so much to me for my entire life.
The guy who
Jack
does
Sparrow,
who does the indie show, the stunt show, does not look like Harrison Ford either.
No, and I don't like that either.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So I guess
But Jack Sparrow was a good. I'll give you that. That was a good one.
I mean,
they normally look like him, and sometimes it is him, literally in the parks.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
I just don't like it.
I don't necessarily think it's for us anyway. And I will say this: we can't complain about not having enough walk around characters, and then when they give us walk around characters, be mad about the kind they gave us. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I think there's other options too. I mean, they have a whole.
I understand, but you cannot
treasure trove of characters they can dress up like. Why do they have to pick this?
So listen, beggars cannot be choosers, and that's all I'm saying. We cannot complain about the lack of characters walking around Disney World and specifically around Galaxy's Edge. They give them to us, and they give specifically the characters from the trilogy that everybody says should have been in Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
And then people complain. It's like,
well, and we're getting off track a little bit, but I don't have a problem with any Star Wars character being in Galaxy's Edge at any time. I don't care about the timeline. Like, that doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
Like, if Kylo Ren walks by and then a minute later Han Solo walks by, like that doesn't work. Well, I guess it does work in the timeline. If it was an older Han Solo, it's a bad example. I'm getting Star Warsy here. Regardless, I don't care about the timelines, and they were real specific about that. It was this timeline, this character couldn't be in this area. That doesn't really matter to me. I want it to feel more Star Warsy, and that actually takes me out of it more. See, we're going to get a lot of negative comments on this, but hey, that's my stance.
Unless you have a mouse in your pocket, I don't know who the we you're talking about is, because it's you who's going to get the negative comments. Because I personally think that we asked for characters. We got characters. We complained that it was the new trilogy. They gave us the original trilogy. Like, at some point, we have to own that we're never going to be happy with Galaxy's Edge. No, I'm not being a jerk about it. I'm being serious. Like, we're never going to be 100% happy about Galaxy's Edge, and we have to own that and be okay with that. We have to suspend our desire to walk on set with Han Solo. Okay, because it's just not happening. Like, we're not walking on set. We are in a place where, yeah, the guy does look like, you nailed it, looks like the picture off of a Spirit Halloween package, 100%. But I just think we can't be hating on it that much. I would rather them not have him there. I'll be honest, I'm with you on that. But I also don't think we can criticize Disney for trying something.
Yeah. Well, I would also, I mean, it's also not in Florida, and you're talking about wanting the walk around characters. I mean, there's already plenty in California. So if they're transplanting this to Florida, then I'm with you on that argument. And yes, I'd have to bite my tongue a little bit because they were giving us more walk around characters. So
yeah.
Anyway,
on that subject, they have been testing some more walking around stuff with not face characters, but with costumed characters. I have seen some posts online about this, about them being more present, whether it's, Peter Pan, which has always kind of been the one you can see walking around, but I've heard the characters from Winnie the Pooh have been a little bit more present. I've heard that Chip and Dale have been wandering a little bit more frequently. There was even a post that said what times you could expect. Like, they don't post this, but this is the time. Like, we've been here 3 days in a row. I can't remember if it was Disney Food Blog. It was somebody who has people there every day, and they said, look, we've seen this 3 days in a row, and this is what they're piloting, and it doesn't seem like it's going away. It seems like it's going to be part of the whole cool kid summer kind of thing. So I think that they actually are trying to bring more characters to walk around the park. And I think if they did that, they would find that the meet and greet lines would be less congested. Because for a lot of times, go ahead.
Liked when I was at Disneyland, it was very easy and convenient for the characters to ride on the carousel, and they were
Mhm.
very visible when they're on the carousel. And the nice thing about it is you can't really mob a character when they're on the carousel. You know what I mean? Because you'll fall off, or they'll say, "Excuse me, you need to sit down." Parents generally are with their kids in the carousel, but like when I went, there were, Peter Pan was like literally running around in
Mhm.
Disneyland, and
Yeah.
then runs past the line. Nobody cared,
Yeah.
obviously.
It's Peter Pan.
Runs
Yeah.
past the line and just jumps up on a horse and is riding around and waving to everybody. Like that was great. Everyone stopped, took pictures. Kids were laughing. They loved it. Like that's definitely something doable. I don't know if the worry is people are running after them and mobbing the characters. Like, for example, you know the story already, but we have a mascot at our school, and oftentimes what happens with the mascot at these games is there's a lot of younger kids running around without parents. Granted, I know they're with their parents at Disney, but the kids will run up and jump on the mascot and pull on the mascot. Like, I don't know if they're worried about that happening. Do you think they are?
No, I think it's quite literally, I think, is they don't have enough actors.
Okay.
They don't have enough cast members.
All right.
So
So I should put it in
that's
my
honestly what I think
application.
it is. But yeah. So we're gonna head off to the halftime show. When we get back, we're gonna talk about the top 5 things that we think Disney gets wrong in 2026. Things that maybe they should fix, or that we think they're missing out on some dollars, or maybe they're taking too many dollars. We'll see when we get back from the halftime show, which is brought to you by our patrons over on patreon.com/DizListPod. So we're gonna head off to the halftime show, and we'll see you right after that. Hey, Rob, do you know what episode this is?
199.
99, which means next week
God.
we are recording our 200th episode. And in conjunction with our 200th episode, we are going to be doing a Patreon Ask Me Anything. We have a bunch of questions that have been submitted by some of our patrons. Some of them are Disney related, some of them are not.
Some of them are really funny, actually.
Yeah. Some of them are more unhinged than others. If you'd like to get your question answered and be able to watch us answer that, head over to patreon.com/DizListPod. Join for free. When you join for free, you'll see the post for the 200th episode. Drop your question there. We will answer it. And that episode is going to drop as a Patreon exclusive, but not just for paid patrons. It will be all tiers, including free members. So head on over there
Thank you to
and check that
everybody.
out. So,
Yeah.
what we were thinking about doing today is, what are some things that Disney gets wrong in 2026? We sometimes are branded as Disney apologists, right? People who are Disney creators sometimes get branded as Disney apologists. I think that we're more realistic than some, but what I wanted to do when I pitched this to Rob was like, "Oh, it's gonna be a hard one," and I think it is gonna be hard. It could have been hard, but when you
Was it
started thinking
first?
about it,
Yeah.
it was at first, but then they start flowing, and you're like,
Correct.
I got to stop at 5.
And this happens a lot when we're choosing these episodes, is we love this place so much. Obviously we can do a full episode every week on this place that we love, and we love so much about it, but we're also critical. Obviously the first half of the show was kind of already leaning into this already. And the other important part is, yeah, we can be negative about certain things, but a lot of the stuff that Disney is doing wrong, it's like, okay, you're doing this wrong, but it could be this or it could be that. Like, there's a lot of certain fixes. And also, before this next one, I'm going to say too is, or before my first one, is that there's got to be some stuff I don't know. And when I get to this one, I'll say what it is. Like, for example, here's my number 5. Disney's ignoring some prime real estate. But there's probably some reasons I don't know that they're ignoring it. I put down one place in each 4 of the parks here that that they're ignoring, and why. And I'm sure an Imagineer will say, well, that's because blah 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 blah. Okay. And then my rebuttal would be, okay, I get it. But at this point, most casual Disney parks fans will all go, yeah, what's going on with that? How come? So here's just one from each park. Okay, in Magic Kingdom, there's rumors that there's some issues with something with the interior mold or asbestos or something in the Stitch's Great Escape area there. It was kind of a meet and greet. We did a meet and greet there with Stitch once. We waited in line. My son got to meet Stitch, but there's that really big area there that they could use for something. This is why I wanted to begin with this one. There's probably something we don't know. Okay, there's rumors of this or that or the other thing, but that's a great spot that they can definitely use. And there's also some rumors saying that maybe across the street for Monsters Inc. laugh floor, that may move. So can you imagine that area, Nick, with two big, giant, empty spots? Okay, I'll move on because I got one from each park.
I mean, listen, it's Tomorrowland, right? So we could just say it's the mall.
Yeah, you're not
Every mall
wrong.
you go into looks like that too. Empty storefronts.
I'm going to come back to that a little bit later too.
Okay.
Not the mall, but the other part.
Okay.
In Hollywood Studios, the Jedi training area. Okay, it's right out in the middle of everything, and it's this underutilized space. I realize it costs Disney money for staff members to come in and do that event. We've talked about it on a recent show about the whole Jedi training and how they could bring that back, but that's an area that's just kind of sitting there. That
Are you talking about the stage? You're talking about the stage next to Star Tours, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So last time I was there, they were utilizing it as a pseudo meet and greet.
Really?
Yeah. Like I saw
for Star Wars characters.
Yeah, they were standing up there and you stood in front and took pictures. Yep.
I did not know that. I haven't.
Yeah.
The last few times I've been there, I haven't seen that at all.
That was 2 years ago, but it happened. So I'm not saying it's definitely going to continue. I'm just telling you.
Okay. The next one is in Animal Kingdom, and it's that. Well, it has a couple different names. It's where they did Kite Tales, that sort of amphitheater there. Discovery River Theater, I think, is the actual name for it, and they did Rivers of Light there. It's good. They used it for a bit during COVID, and they did that Kite Tales show. I also know that the hard part is that it's a nighttime show, and they're not usually open at night, but that area could be something. This isn't a show where we're saying we could do this here or that there. I'm just saying there's a really large space that could be used for one thing or another. And then the last one.
Can I just say?
Yeah, jump in.
Stay tuned.
Really? I hope so.
Yeah, stay tuned.
And my last one too is Wonders of Life Pavilion. That thing's been sitting there. They were going to do the Play Pavilion in there. It's been sitting there doing nothing. So my 5, and I realize it was a lot to it, but I wanted to just kind of give a couple examples here, and that is they're ignoring some prime real estate. So Nick, you're number 5.
Yeah. First off, I just want to reply that I don't disagree with you on any of those. I mean, Epcot, you could go. There's a huge list of things that there are literal expansion pads that they're not using.
We could do a whole show pointing out every spot that it's there that could be used. So I wanted to pick at least an obvious one that people kind of generally know.
Yeah, there might be a top 5 at Epcot alone.
Yeah, you're right.
My number 5 is something that's pretty obvious, I think, to anybody who goes to the parks and thinks of Disney World and then thinks that it's synonymous with Mickey, Minnie, the Fab Five, and that is that they underutilize that particular core IP of the Fab Five. There are 2 rides, well 3, because you have Barnstormer. There are 3 rides that really you can think of as having anything to do with them, right? You've got one in Epcot, one in Magic Kingdom, you've got one in Hollywood Studios. They're with the exception of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, they're all, the others are not attractions you necessarily care, they're skippable, 100% skippable. Inside the parks, I feel like they underutilize that. When you look at Toontown in Disneyland, we don't have that. We have Storybook Circus, but that's not when I think Storybook Circus, I think about Dumbo. I don't think about Barnstormer. I don't think about going into the big top and meeting meeting the characters. I just feel like outside of meet and greets, Mickey and Minnie and the rest of the Fab Five are kind of non-existent, right? I'm trying to think here. In Magic Kingdom, for character meet and or not for character for character meals, they don't exist in that park.
In Magic
right?
Kingdom?
Not Mickey and Minnie.
No, you're right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like in Epcot, there's not a character meal. Oh, no, there is.
Yeah, there is.
They're at Garden Grill. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then you have them at Tusker House, but like there's not a major. I just feel like they're dropping the ball there, right? Phantasmic is a great example of using that IP, but you got to stay up there, stay up late. You got to, be lucky that the weather doesn't cancel it.
I've been unlucky every single time.
So, I mean, I just feel like it's an IP that's underutilized in the parks.
What was I saying back to that one? I think they could easily put in like a meet and greet with Mickey and Minnie in Magic Kingdom. There's a lot of different options that they could do. I don't think necessarily they would want to take away from, gosh, what's the name of the glass place that's at the end of Main Street on the left-hand side. It's the meet and greet where they do the Winnie the Pooh characters. What's the name of that place?
Crystal Palace.
Yeah, I don't think they necessarily need to change that. We had that discussion again on a recent show. I think that works really well. I think it can just be added to another sit-down restaurant, or even retheme another sit-down restaurant. I mean, there's quite a few. Other than I probably wouldn't do Cinderella's Royal Table or the Beauty and the Beast, but
yeah, I used to think that the reason that they didn't I used to think the reason that they didn't have it was because, well, he does meet and greets there at the front of the park.
Yeah.
And then I got thinking, like, wait a second, there's meet and greets over in Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
Right? There's meet and greet over in Hollywood Studios. So like the fact so that's not the reason, and it would bring more people into those restaurants. Like if you put a Mickey Mouse character meal in the Liberty Tree Tavern, right? And then like let that go, that place would be sold out.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to get a reservation. So
yeah, I think
I just think it's underutilized.
If you maybe change the menu around and made the food a little bit more, I don't want to say mainstream because it is, but
it's very mainstream, but it's too mainstream.
Yeah. And then I still think it's possible. So if it's Liberty Tree Tavern, maybe Mickey and Minnie are wearing the, sort of
patriotic stuff,
patriotic or revolutionary costumes or
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it would work without a huge retheming and they want money. That's going to bring money and that's going to pull people. And also that side of the park very soon is going to be very, very busy, not only with Big Thunder, but with Villains Land and the new Cars Piston Peak attraction. So that
absolutely
all that area is going to be big, big, big deal. Okay. My number 4 here is I feel like there's not enough of Tangled right now and I've heard this a lot. Tangled is definitely a property that Nick and it's one of our favorites. But I really feel like it's not only about us. I mean, this show generally is about what we think and our opinions, but I really feel like Tangled, they're already casting for the remake that they're going to do. And I'm not necessarily super excited about that, but I think that's one of those movies that did well and then still like gained popularity through time. I know you agree with me on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the main reason I'm thinking this is seeing the 2 new Disney attractions that they have done. So at Tokyo Disney Sea at Fantasy Springs, that ride through, it's a boat ride, but that room where you go in and they have all the lanterns everywhere is incredible.
I agree.
And I don't know if one happened and then they saw it and wanted to do it in the other, but Disney Adventure World in Paris now has kind of a similar spinner ride. It's sort of kind of like Alien Swirling Saucers and kind of like Mad Tea Party, but above has all those lanterns. I also know that there's like legal reasons behind you can't copy and paste something because the Oriental Land Company has like a 10-year.
Yeah, it's like a
don't quote me on that.
It's like
yeah. But I feel like if you own that property and you do a ride that isn't that ride and you do something that includes the lanterns, or I mean, you and I talk about all the time. We love the part where they're in the, you know, the bar or the canteen or whatever, and
the Snuggly Duckling, I think it's
Snuggly
called.
Duckling. Like, I mean, having that somewhere in the park, I don't want to elaborate too much other than I think that particular movie it's great. I think that's one that appeals to all generations, young kids, people our age. I just think we need more Tangled in some way. And again, we have shows where we try to speculate what they could do, and hey, let's do this ride or put this here. Like, we can get into that, but I want to keep the list going and just say not enough Tangled. So
No, I agree.
yeah.
It's hard to argue with that. My number 4 is something. So the way I titled it isn't necessary. So I called it not returning pre-COVID perks. I'm not saying this is because of COVID that these things went away, but like the fact that Disney has not brought back a Magical Express of some sort, even a paid version of it.
I thought
the fact
that
they have not brought back the package, like the package delivery where you could buy something at a store and have them bring it to your room for you. Those things, not for nothing, but I think that Disney makes money on them. Like, even paying the cast member to move that stuff from point A to point B means that I am freer to buy stuff, not just when I'm leaving the park. And so, like, when I go by the store, let's say I'm in Magic Kingdom and I'm back Haunted Mansion, I go to Memento Mori. So I go in, there's this really nice there's this really nice haunted mansion, like
something breakable
trinket. Yeah, something that's exactly what I'm thinking. It's something breakable, like
how about an ornament?
Yeah, it's a Halloween ornament of some sort, right?
Sure.
Ceramic, glass, doesn't matter. If it's like 10 a.m., I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it.
It'll break in my backpack.
Exactly. So what do? I look to see if it's on Shop Disney. It's not there. Oh, I really want it, but well, maybe I'll come back. Well, I never make it back over there.
No, because I forget.
Yeah, but had I been able to say, I'm at the Polynesian in this room, fill out the little paperwork, boom, there you go. You know what? There it is. Like my first time going, when they still had it, we bought stuff at Disney Springs and places that like the Disney that we didn't necessarily want to have to carry around to lunch. And we bought so much more stuff than we ever buy.
They did that at World of Disney? That's amazing.
I'm pretty sure it was at World of Disney.
I believe you. It makes sense that they would have. I could
be completely wrong about that, but I know sense. we bought a bunch of stuff throughout the parks that got sent back to our room. Like it didn't get sent back to our room. We had to pick it up at the Poly. And they told us, like, hey, just so you know, you don't want to do this on your second to last day, because it could take a full 24 hours. So if you bought it at 4 p.m., so I mean, I'm just saying that that's money spent. And then the other thing is, like, the Magical Express, you were locking me in, and then now I know how cheap it is to get an Uber. Like, I have seen so many posts this week, and I think it's because there's like a huge push by this company for this one restaurant that's in Flamingo Crossings, that they're like, you should go outside the bubble, go to Flamingo Crossings, which technically isn't outside the bubble, but whatever, to this restaurant. It's a third-party restaurant. It's really good Italian, some of the best Italian in the area. Well, guess what? It's a 5 to 10 minute Uber ride from Animal Kingdom. It's from Animal Kingdom Lodge. It's like next door.
We just drove through there a ton. Like, that area is beautiful. I don't know if you've driven through there before. It's really, really, I mean,
so like
most of Disney's beautiful, but it's cool. It's worth going there. I haven't been to the restaurant, but that area is great.
Right. But my point is just that, like, if you bring me on a bus, I don't know how easy it is to get around with Uber. Well, now that I know how easy it is to get around with the Uber, like, I'll call up an Uber or a Lyft. Sure, bring me to Flamingo Crossings. I'll get a reservation there, pay half as much as I would over at Tony's Town Square, and get better Italian food.
Is there good Italian food outside of maybe the Italy Pavilion anywhere in Disney?
I mean, even the Italy Pavilion, the pizza's good, but like even Tutto Italia is not rated very highly.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah. So I think that Via Napoli is good for pizza. I don't know about their pasta because I don't really usually get pasta there, but
all right.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my thought, is that they need to bring back the pre-COVID perks, and the two that I mentioned are just a couple.
My number 3 is I actually did some research for this one, and it's long, and we have a lot to say about all these,
Yeah.
so I'll just sort of sum it all up here. And my number 3 is not putting focus on and updating the Imagination Pavilion. And what I did was I went through and researched current, Disney, Walt Disney Animation and Pixar for the last 30 years, and what were the top grossing films, and like what are they not looking at, what are they ignoring. And just as I thought, it's Inside Out has in the top 10, both Inside Out movies are on that list. I'm not saying get rid of Figment completely, but I really think if they decide to sort of rebrand that under Inside Out and have Figment like the tour guide and sort of giving the emotions a tour, I think that could do really well. And I know people are going to be upset, and I'm a Figment fan too, for sure. I mean, Figment's the unofficial mascot of that whole park. I mean, Orange Bird a little bit, but update that ride. I mean, you can just print the money for more Figment merch. He's just gonna blow up even more. It's just such a great character that they've just ignored for so long. Like, I'm gonna actually look this up while you get to your next one here.
My next one's actually pretty related, so I'm just going to piggyback.
Go
right
for
off
it. And
it.
all I want to say is, when did the newest version open? Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So like mine isn't about specifically Imagination, but it piggybacks right off of what you said, and that Disney delays. So one of the things that Disney's getting wrong in 2026 is that Disney delays updating their infrastructure, their rides, everything until it's too late. So they have delayed fixing things too long, and it gets to a point where it's so bad that they have to like shut it completely down.
Nemo's getting like that too.
Yeah, Nemo, Imagination, like you just said, but it's not just that. It's even things like, the infrastructure. So like the bathrooms over by Tomorrowland, like when you're going in over, like they are sketch at best. Like when you're on your way in, I don't know if you know which ones I'm talking about, but oh gosh, I'm trying to think of how to describe where they're at. Either way, the bathrooms over there in Tomorrowland are just not good.
Well, I'm going to get back to that soon too.
The idea that they waited as long as they did to fix up so a couple of years ago they started fixing up People Mover, and remember it was shut down a lot and stuff like that. They were dealing with like the magnetic propulsion and the car. Like there was a time when those cars were grimy. It's like, what am I sitting on right now? The amount of delays, the fact that they haven't done anything with Speedway is an example of the delay of not wanting to update stuff. And so they're just put stuff off. And then it's like, now you got to like full blown get rid of it or refurbish it completely instead of just doing maintenance along the way. And it's not just in the parks, it's outside of the parks too. It's at resorts, right? And so I think that at some point they have to realize that like the expenditures of routine maintenance, like they do on the water rides, right? Because they do it with Splash or with Tiana's, and they do it with Kali River Rapids. They need to do that. Like everything gets shut down for a week a year. Put it on a rotating calendar, right? Everything gets shut down for a week a year. We're going to go and refurbish. We're going to go and clean. We're going to go and make sure that it looks good, looks the way it should, works the way it should, sounds the way it should. Hold Disney's standard high still, and I think they'd be better off. So I just think they delay doing stuff.
I wonder how many times Imagination has been refurbished since, and I looked it up, it's 23 years ago that it opened, and I wonder how many times they've gone in and made changes. I mean, it's very dated. Love the character, love the original more. We have listeners that hate the character, but I wonder if some of our listeners would change their opinions if they redid the ride and kind of made Figment into the fun, carefree, creative, yet not, kind of like Dennis the Menace, where he's kind of a trickster, but he's still smart and creative. Like that's a really, I don't know, it's kind of a cool thing to be. It's sort of how I try to live my life, Anyway, number 2, I learned from you. I used to be a nice guy. That's over.
I learned it from watching you.
Number 2, not updating Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland looks like an airport.
Yeah.
In an older episode, new listeners, I want to throw this back out there again, because this is one of my hour. I don't know if it was together, or I'll give you credit if you're part of this too, but we came up with this idea for a canopy over top. Like, they do that in Las Vegas, and there's some different places where
we both had the same exact idea.
That's
It
right.
was on
That's right.
It was on a favorite fixer flatten, I think, or something, or
so.
retheming Tomorrowland.
That's why I thought because I knew
Yeah.
I had the idea, but you were part of it somehow. But
Yeah.
if you take kind of the main area of Tomorrowland there, maybe there's a hole in it for drainage or whatever, and it's maybe Astro Orbiter sticks up through, but you could have just kind of a canopy that's similar to what they have over at Tron. Maybe they could project on areas. Maybe they could just do LED lights and change up the colors. And not only is that shade for the crazy heat in Orlando, but that also kind of takes it up a notch. So yesterday, for example, I went and did this college visit with my son, and my daughter goes to school there. We saw our mutual friends Mark and Renee were there, and our friend Rory. But they're in this new stadium building. It's their soccer lacrosse stadium, but it has all these LED lights, and they're constantly changing, and it's just an amazing, totally changes the vibe and the excitement through color and light. And it's a really cool effect that I think they do a lot in modern architecture, and it's something that's relatively easy to do. You just have to install the lighting system, and with current technology and LED lighting, you can fade a color from this to that, So I think they just need to update. There's so much we could say. Truly, you and I could do a Tomorrowland show and go through everything and talk about that. Maybe we will do that at some point. But one thing they're doing wrong in 2026, they're ignoring Tomorrowland not being Tomorrowland. It looks like it looks like the Indianapolis airport,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Abu Dhabi, I believe, is going to be a indoor-outdoor park. So that's a perfect example of clearly it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm with you.
Well, they do think of the roller coasters that are indoor right now in Walt Disney World.
Yeah. I mean, our last three have all been about updating things and them not doing it. So this one is a little bit about the future and how the future has ruined the Disney experience. My number 2 is that Disney is pushing screens on us. It is pushing us to a screen. You mentioned that your first time in Disneyland was marred by the fact that because the minute you walk through those taps, right, you go through the turnstiles, you have to start
book your first lightning lane
for your lightning lanes. That mars the experience. You don't get to have that magical moment of seeing the castle.
I don't get it back. I was looking at my phone.
Correct.
And quickly, because we spent so much money on it, selecting what we were gonna, what our lightning lane rides were gonna be for the day.
So from everything from lightning lanes to our mobile ordering to checking your reservations for your room, everything is done on that app. And I think that has pushed us to be so reliable on the screens and on your phone that you're missing out on the experience around you. And now people can say, well, that's a choice you make. Yes, it is a choice I make, because if you don't rely on the screens, your experience is less than.
Correct.
You get what I'm saying? So you either have the experience you want to have and rely on the screens, or you have a less than experience and you lose out on things that shouldn't need screens. You shouldn't need screens to eat lunch.
And not everybody, not everybody has a smartphone. We work with a guy who didn't have a smartphone until a year ago, right? He fought it. And, respect to him and any listeners who are not smartphone people. But you're exactly right, there's so many opportunities that you can't have without having one of those devices.
There's a guy.
They are being forced. Yeah.
Yes. There's a guy who is a Dodgers season ticket holder. I just saw this news thing on TV not too long ago. Dodgers season ticket holder has been since the Dodgers moved from Brooklyn. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's old. He's an old guy. He's got a flip phone, the whole nine. He doesn't, and they refuse to print out his season tickets. So to prove a point, he purchased tickets from Will Call, went to the booth, and they printed those ones out. So he sent a letter to the Dodgers, hey, this is ridiculous. I'm a season ticket holder. I have been for this many years, literally since you've been in LA, and you won't print my tickets. You're forcing me to get a smartphone and get the app because everything's in the app. You have to manage your season tickets in the app. What? He went to will call. They printed them out. So I don't know. Anyway, so my whole thing is Disney's insistence on making us reliable on screens.
That I just used the chat in our for the first time ever to you, and I threw to you that was 1957 because you were on a roll and I didn't want to interrupt you.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's a very, very long time ago. That's when the Dodgers moved from Brooklyn to Los Angeles.
Yeah. 70 years.
I have a feeling that you and I, based on a clue you gave me at the beginning of the show, if you can think back to the beginning of the show, you gave me a little bit of a clue.
I don't think we're lined up, but go ahead.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then I'll just get to it because you kind of alluded to it. And I'm going to make it quick, and I have a little bit of a story. I know we're running long, but it's important that I say what my number one here is my number one is just pricing in general. Okay. I'm not an economist. You know, I'm not, I just know in general, pricing is getting pretty outrageous. So I want to tell a short story and do shout out to my friend Scott. So my good friend Scott, who you know of, you haven't met him in person, but he's a big Disney fan. And I went with him once when we were in high school, and I've known him my whole life. And we got together last night just to catch up. He lives in Texas now. And we were talking about Disney. And he's a guy that goes every year, sometimes more than once a year. And he said to me, he goes, yeah, I'm not going anymore. Really? He goes, yeah, I'm kind of done with that. I want to go other places, see other things. And I said, is part of that cost? And he goes, yeah. He's like, part of that's cost. You'll appreciate this, Jessica, too. He goes, it's the most expensive bar crawl in the world. So here's a guy who, I've known my whole life and has gone once or twice a year, and it's priced out him, and he's a super fan. And again, I'm not going to get into the pricing and the economics behind it because that's not my wheelhouse. Okay, you're a little better at that because you're a numbers guy, but it's just hard. I mean, we're teachers. We make it work being able to go to Disney World every year, but it just gets harder and harder. So
yeah.
One thing I think they're doing wrong is fixing the pricing or pricing, making things cost money that don't need to cost money, things that they could make free that they're not making free. So that's when I say my number one is pricing, I'm including all of those things. So that's not your number one.
Yeah. We're close.
Okay.
So I thought you were going in a different direction. I want to say though, I was complaining about pricing to one of our online friends about Disney, and they had a great comment. They said, well, pricing keeps going up, but it's Kohl's pricing. And what they meant by that was there's always a coupon, right? There's always a discount. But by making it expensive and then offering you the discount, you get this psychology that I'm getting a deal, and so you're going to buy it, right? And their comment also was that, like, you also have to know how to find that discount. So there are people who just don't want to even bother finding the discount, so they'll pay the full price. And there are the people who will look for the discount and purchase it at the price that Disney's actually willing to sell it for. And those people now feel like they got this great deal, when in reality, that was the price that Disney actually wanted for it.
Correct.
Yeah. So she says Kohl's pricing. I thought that was a great point.
No,
mine
absolutely
does have to do with pricing, but it is not about overall pricing. This is something we talked about recently on Ear Scouts when we were on their episode that dropped last Thursday. Go check them out. But the idea that somebody who's 10 years old is an adult irks me. Why am I paying adult prices for a 10-year-old? Like, it's ridiculous. The 10-year-old doesn't eat the same. The 10-year-old doesn't drink the same. The 10-year-old doesn't take up the same amount of room. Like, why is my 10-year-old an adult? In only Disney World you will find this. If you're gonna tell me that when you turn 10, now you're an adult, and so you're gonna eat adult food, and so you don't qualify for the Disney dining plan as a child, like, why? In what world? Like, in what world is my daughter, my 10-year-old daughter, an adult?
Would you be okay
she
with?
Can't book for herself.
I agree with you.
This,
I'm not about to argue with you. I just have a question. Would you be okay if it was 13? So it'd be teens would count as adults.
No.
You
No.
think it should be what, 16?
I think
what
it
would you
should-
count
I
as
think-
an adult? 18?
I think there should.
If you
I
were to
think
choose,
there should
you're
be-
choosing.
Okay, so if it were me, there should be kids,
Mhm.
teens, adults. There should be 3 tiers if they're going to try to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's not a
If
bad
they-
idea.
If they really want to raise the cost at 10 years old, then they need to do some kind of kids, quote unquote, teens/tweens, adults, and call adults 18 and over, right? That's fine. You want to call adults 18 and over, fine. But my main issue stems with like the fact that a 10-year-old who buys a ticket to an after hours event, a 10-year-old who buys a park ticket, or they're not buying it, their parents are, a 10-year-old who goes to to the dessert party, right? They're paying adult pricing and they don't get the perks of being an adult because they're not an adult and they shouldn't get
Yeah.
those perks.
Yeah.
Right. So like a dining plan for a 10-year-old costs the same as a dining plan for me. Mine comes with a specialty alcoholic beverage. Theirs does not, obviously. Like, in what world? I have a real big problem with it. I've had a problem with it since forever because it's always been like this. I don't get it. So, but
a great point.
that's my number one. And it does have to do with pricing. I guess we did kind of line up. We did go a little long, but I think this is just showing that, like, look, we've got some feelings about this. I'm sure people do too. We didn't even line up on top of each other exactly. So
Mhm.
that's 10 different things that we could think of, and we probably could have kept going. Listen, next week, 200. Make sure you tune in.
Crazy.
We're
Wild,
gonna
man.
have a fun show next week, and then make sure you join Patreon for free so you can hear the 200th or the episode that's going to go with our 200th, which is basically just an Ask Me Anything kind of a thing. So make sure you just stop in there. But we're going to actually go ahead and go record our Patreon episode for this week. So it's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a list away.
Tune in next time and we'll see you real soon.